Welcome to Lawyers Without Billboards, where we break down family law and other areas of the law. No gimmicks, no legal jargon, just real, unfiltered talk from real lawyers. Join your hosts, Steve, Patty, Jimmy, and Alexa, partners at Shewmaker Lewis, a law firm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Every episode, they tackle the legal questions that matter most: divorce, custody, child support, alimony, and everything in between. They'll pull back the curtain to give you real insights on what happens inside the courtroom and beyond.
Are we going? Hey, what's up? Back with Shewmaker Lewis and Lawyers Without Billboards. Today is an exciting day. We are still brought to you by Rob Bergner and Bleeding Edge Productions, and our music is still brought to us by Mr. Ben Hernandez and Dragon Studios. But today is a banner day. I know we had our first guest speaker, which was your cat, Addie.
Addie, yeah.
But, you know, I'm kind of a traditional guy. That doesn't count.
Well, she didn't speak much anyway, so
No,
it's
but
okay.
It's hard to follow up from that.
I know. She's practically a celebrity.
Exactly.
But today we have our first human guest, and it's very exciting to me that our very first guest on Lawyers Without Billboards is the great Sherri Holder. So without further ado, this is Sherri Holder. How you doing, Sherri?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right. I'm going to just tell everybody listening in the 56 years and 10 months that I have been on this planet.
God, you're old.
I thank you very much.
He's not that old.
I have this, I will admit it, I have this irresistible urge to just explain things to the ladies. I just walk up to ladies everywhere at the mall.
Man, you mansplain. It's terrible.
Oh, is that what it's called? Yeah,
Yes.
but I don't do that to Sherri Holder because Sherri Holder will cut you down instantly because Sherri Holder is like, she's just amazing. So
we need to keep her around more often.
Sherri is...
He has tried.
Sherri, you went to GSU, Georgia State University?
I did.
Very much like Patty and Alexa and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And you are, correct me if I'm wrong, there are accountants, and the vast majority of people you meet that studied accounting, you talk to them and they're like, well, are you a CPA? And then they get kind of sheepish and they're like, no, I'm just an accountant. And then, so there's accountants.
I'm just regular.
And then there's CPAs. And then there's like the superheroes of accountants, and they're called forensic accountants, right?
We call them the cool accountants.
And which one are you?
Said no one ever.
I mean, I'm the cool accountant.
The cool accountant. So you are, you studied accounting, and you graduated, and
Yes.
you are a CPA, and you're now in that really, really small club of superhero accountants.
Well, because I'm a CPA.
Right.
I'm a CVA. I'm an ABV, and I'm a CFF.
WTF.
I know, right? I think it's because I married a third and I wanted more initials than him.
You know, I get that. I married a fourth, and I need more initials.
Yeah, so I got 'em.
Just gonna start adding them on.
I'm a BMF, so there.
Wow.
And sometimes I put an S on the front for super.
Self-professed. Yeah.
Anyway, so you are a super accountant. Why in the world would anybody, and this is not a question for you, Sherri, it's for Jimmy. Jimmy, why in the world would anybody want a super accountant in their corner?
Well, the first and most obvious reason is that most attorneys are not good at math.
That's why
they're not good at the numbers.
That's right.
But also, when you have a very financially
Heavy
and complicated case,
Right.
having an expert like Sherri sitting there who can explain all of that to the judge or jury
Right.
is going to be monumentally
Absolutely.
helpful.
And that's what we're here to talk about today is how can a super accountant help you in your divorce case? But before we get
I was
there.
going to say, can
what
we
were you gonna
pause first? Because I have some questions for Sherri beforehand. We need to, like, a brief get to know
say? I was
you.
going to do the same
Oh,
thing.
go right ahead.
Why don't we tag team it?
Okay.
Sherri, what is your favorite movie?
Ooh, I thought y'all were going to, like, I'm not a huge movie person, but if I know, like, I don't fit in with y'all. But,
Remember, super cool accountant.
yeah.
So.
But if I had to pick,
How about
you
the
do.
movie The Accountant?
no.
Good movie, though.
I mean, probably Pretty Woman. I mean,
Okay.
like, let's go old school.
All right. Well,
Go ahead.
well, I want to know, because I know you've listened to our first episode. Tell us something that nobody knows.
Okay, so I really thought hard about this. So, I mean, obviously, somebody knows. But so my parents, this is divorce related, married and divorced each other. You want to guess how many times?
Ooh, 3? Stop.
4.
4.
Damn.
No shit.
And then they dated
bet your
again.
dad.
And then they dated again. Like they were dating when I got married. So it almost was number 5. So that's probably like the most, you know.
So these people really can't make a decision. They can't make their mind up.
You know, it was ugly, but Dad said last time he got married so he could be the one to divorce her.
Can you
But they
imagine?
are not
So
friends
just
now.
spiting. Got it.
They are
Got it.
not
Got it.
Can you
I love your
imagine?
dad, though. He's wonderful.
Can you imagine growing up in Sherri's house around her parents, just on the typical nightly topic of where do you want to go for dinner?
I can't even imagine.
Well, I would have to figure out, like, because it would start, like, custody, right?
Yeah.
It was old school. It was 70s. So, Dad would have me every other weekend, and then Dad would start coming for custody every other weekend. And then Dad would move again. And then I'd come home from school one day, and they're like, oh, we got married today. But the last number 4 was on my 16th birthday. So came home from school, wanted to go get my driver's test, and oh, by the way, we got divorced today. So
And I think this started with tell us something that nobody knows about you, which is a great question, Alexa. I just have to say this commentary in question. My daughter is about to be 16, Molly. And
God, that's
and
scary.
her parents, by all measure, I guess that me and Patty are happily married, and we're certainly living together. And even with that, my daughter rolls her eyes audibly. You can hear them roll. And you must have just been like sighing and rolling your eyes like crazy. when you were
Constantly.
16. Yeah, just.
I think there's like documented evidence of the eye roll. I had a superior eye roll, but
All
yes,
right,
it was a good time.
Which I'm assuming your daughter has inherited. Yeah.
She's a smart lady too.
She is.
Now, what
She's
college
super
is
cool.
she at now?
She's
done.
Graduated Auburn
Oh,
with
okay.
an accounting degree, and she's getting ready to start her Master's of Accounting at Kennesaw because her mama said she's not paying for out of state anymore.
Cool.
And then she's got a job at Deloitte.
At Deloitte. So she's gonna be a super accountant too.
She's gonna be a super accountant.
I
Maybe.
love it. Deloitte. So she'll be picking up the check now at dinner.
I hope so.
Yeah.
About time, right?
All right. Next
Right?
question, so we can get to know Sherri Holder better. Sherri, what's your favorite word?
Oh, sassafras.
Sassafras. Can you spell it?
Sassafras, I think.
Sounds right.
Well, we won't ask
Sounds
Jimmy.
right.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I also like juxtaposition.
Oh, I like to use that word
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
I've never heard you use that word.
Well, all right.
time.
I'll make a point of that.
Okay.
All right.
Challenge accepted.
No, I will actually stick my neck out for Steve. You use that in a
Juxtapose.
notice of
Oh, so he typed it.
yeah.
Oh, well, he didn't use it in conversation.
I use it all the time. My wife knows, but she's back there. She won't.
She doesn't count today. No.
Not today.
Her,
all
her
right.
input, her input's not here.
Sherri, I appreciate those words. Sherri, what are your hobbies? And I already know the answer, but I want the listeners to know.
So my hobbies are my family hobbies. 'Cause they're two
Little bit of both.
different.
You,
hear a little bit
you can
about it.
distinguish. This is my hobby. This is my family's hobby.
So I enjoy hiking.
Yeah.
I am trying to visit all the national parks, so I really enjoy hiking in
Very
national
cool.
parks. My family enjoys hunting and fishing, and so it's a trade-off, right? So we'll go somewhere, and as long as they can
Yeah.
tie in a hunting and fishing, and I get to go hiking. So that's
So you're
fun.
not really the hunter.
I am not the hunter.
Do you cook?
No,
Okay.
but I
You've cooked.
entertain.
You've cooked for me.
Yeah, well, did I cook or did Trey cook?
No,
Trey
you
cooks.
cooked.
Okay.
We were hunting when we were down
Oh,
at the
yeah,
property.
yeah.
You cooked,
All right. Next question for
or
Sherri
it was Stouffer
Holder.
or something.
Sherri,
Yeah.
It was
Are you-
cooked.
Yeah,
Are you
I
a-
mean, I can use an oven.
Are you a college football fan?
Not really, because it conflicts with hunting season. But
Oh.
I do root for my kids' schools. Unfortunately, they both picked really crappy schools.
Auburn.
You bite your
And
tongue.
Mississippi State.
I know,
We're
yeah.
just going through a rough
Mississippi State.
patch.
Yeah,
Mississippi. I remember Mississippi State. I
Yeah,
got
they are
really
not-
drunk there one time.
they are not an elite football team.
No.
No.
But I went there one time for a case.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, you had an ROTC case out
disenrollment,
there.
yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got really drunk. I think I had
Start
alcohol
Vegas.
poisoning there in about 87. It was bad.
I was born in '87.
In Starkville?
No.
You sure?
Positive.
It'd be a lot more interesting if you had.
No, it wouldn't.
I'd probably have a lot
All
less
right.
teeth.
All right. Hey,
Hey now.
Sherri, true or false? You make your money by coming to court and testifying as an expert witness about your forensic accounting analysis in divorce cases.
True.
True. How many times have you testified in Georgia court? No, scratch that. How many times have you testified in any court anywhere as a forensic accountant?
I was trying to think. I think it's probably getting close to 200 at this point.
200. I'll tell you right now, I have testified as a military divorce expert 14 times now. And I tell people all the time, I said, I am a neophyte compared to Sherri Holder. I actually said that yesterday. I said, because I said Sherri's got to be somewhere between 200 and 250, so I was close. So you've testified a bunch of times.
I have testified a bunch.
Now, you've testified for us in past cases,
Yes.
and you've testified against us in past cases.
Yes.
I remember both of those cases. Yeah. Alexa, have you had a case with Sherri?
Yeah,
Have you?
had a few. Yeah.
So,
In fact, we both withdrew from the same case one time.
so tell us this, Sherri. Help us understand. And I think a lot of lawyers would already know this, but people who are listening that aren't lawyers, why would anybody need a forensic accountant in a divorce case?
So there's different types, but so I do both business valuation and financial forensics. So I'm typically brought in if there is an issue, such as what is the value of a business that's part of the marriage.
Yeah.
If there's a pension, what's the value of that pension? If there are equity awards, and we're trying to determine what portion of those equity awards should be considered marital property versus separate property. To understand income of the parties, to prepare what we call the marital balance sheet, which are the assets and the liabilities, so that the court can clearly see it. Sometimes I do spending analysis, or I know y'all are somewhat inappropriate on here, our hookers and whores analysis.
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. Hookers and
Which is-
whores. Let's talk more about that.
Just, so in family law, there's this concept of dissipation of assets, right? You have gone and you've spent money on something you shouldn't spend money on. And sometimes I get to go through the records. My daughter Briley has been working for me before she starts her master's. So she had her first introduction of going through all the credit card statements and figuring out how much had been spent at strip clubs.
Hell yeah.
She did have a little loss of faith in
Humanity?
Humanity.
she goes, oh my gosh, and men. Like, I've
Oh,
lost
yeah.
all faith in men. And I'm like, well, they're not all going to the strip clubs. But
Some of them can't
one in
afford it.
and some
particular.
women go too. Some women go too.
Fair
Some
point,
can't
fair
afford
point.
it. Okay. All right. Let me. I think you've answered that, but help me out. If because I'm a smart guy, right? You'd agree to that, right?
Under protest?
You definitely think you're right.
Okay. If I analyze 5 years worth of some guy's credit cards, and I do the hookers and whores analysis, why shouldn't I just bring that into court? Why do I need you?
Because I'm really good at explaining it to the court, one, and then there's an added degree of validity, right? So
Yes.
I have looked at it. I can testify to the court. I've verified all the numbers. And I'm capable. So some people, even though they may be smart, they just don't have that skill set.
Well, I agree with everything you say, but let's break it down to something even more fundamental. A lot of times I can do the analysis and get away with it. I can do the analysis, present it to my client. My client can testify, yes, I helped Mr. Shewmaker prepare this, and the court will accept it. If it's not super complex or super messy, but fundamentally, the lawyer can't testify, and the lawyer can't be his own witness. So I'm essentially propping up my client with my own analysis. And you can get away with that in a lot of cases. But if your client has the means, because you're not free,
No.
You fulfill that role perfectly, correct? Is that fair to say?
I would say so. And I think, to your point, how good is your client going to be at standing up and presenting that?
Right.
Because sometimes, even when it's something a client should be able to testify to, I get brought in because I'm going to present it better than
Right.
the client.
When you're
Right.
more credible.
More
Yeah,
credible,
you're much more credible
less
than-
emotional.
Exactly, you're objective. So
Right.
you're not the person sitting up there who's, future's on the line based on whatever they're going to testify
Plus,
to.
you bring the credentials. You are the expert that's testified 200 times, that is a super accountant, and there is no judge that I have ever met that's going to go, I don't believe that this witness is an expert. I mean, that doesn't happen to you. So
No.
So, and you're not alone. There are other people in the Atlanta metro area who do what you do.
There are.
Okay, and some of them are your friends.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I
none
would
of
say
them are
most of them.
none of them are as good as you, right?
I will let you say that. I'm not going to go on the record.
Okay. Now let's talk about. So what we've talked about so far is fairly common. It's banal. There's the word. You're
boy.
taking somebody's records and you're studying it. The
Have you
hookers
been
and whore
flipping
thing.
through your word calendar today?
My daughter's SAT.
Ah, there it is.
You
So
know, first thing that Steve likes to do in the morning, break a mental sweat.
Break a mental sweat.
Oh, well,
He was
that's
reading the
key.
dictionary earlier.
okay.
Webster's, was it hard copy?
Yes, it was. I have it. I'll show it to you
Leather
later. I'll show it to you later. Okay, so that's fairly common, but I would say the PhD level of what you do is to opine about what a closely held business is worth. Would you agree?
I would say that's the most difficult
Most
part
difficult
of what a
thing.
forensic accountant
Right.
does.
So let's break that down. Not typical, but a divorce case, and these still would be the minority of cases. You have a business or a business interest, and the parties divorcing, we'll call them the husband and wife, are arguing about it. Let's say that the husband owns an interest, a portion of 15 Hispanic grocery stores. We'll call them
Hypothetically.
Let's just call it.
We'll call them Jose's Food Marts.
Okay.
And we pass them all day long in Gwinnett County and don't think twice about it, and they're billboards. But then when you start digging into the books, you realize, holy cow, none of us are in the right business because Jose's Food Marts make money like nobody's business.
Yes.
I mean millions and millions, like buy airplane for your personal use, millions.
There's a lot of money apparently in the
Yes.
Hispanic food market.
And we start looking at those and we're like, okay, the husband's going to keep his interest in these businesses because he's worked there, but the wife's not going to get left out in the cold in a divorce. So she's going to get, I like to say she's going to get sorted out. She's going to get paid a certain amount of money for her portion of that interest.
This feels very specific.
Yeah.
Well, so
Equitable division.
Right, there we
I
go.
listened
Yes.
to y'all's
Yes,
podcast.
So
there we
we-
go.
The equitable
Yes.
division.
So we bring in somebody like you because the name of the game is the husband's going to go, yeah, my interest in Jose's Food Marts is there, but it's low money. And the wife's going to go, no, this thing is worth more than the national debt. And somewhere in the middle, the truth will be, right?
Yes.
And who decides that in a case?
The judge,
Or
jury,
a jury, right? So who advises them on how to decide that?
the financial expert
That would be you, right?
typically opines on the value, not how to divide it,
Right,
right?
right.
But what our opinion of the value of that business is.
Right. So not terribly long ago, you
Yes.
came into a courtroom for us, and you said, yeah, I'm going to tell you what I think Jose's Food Marts is worth to the husband so that the judge can award a portion of that to the wife.
Yes.
But 10 years before that, there was a dude who was running a business out of his basement, basically with no overhead, making more than Jose's Food Mart, and he was just a consultant in a very unique business, helping people get government contracts and stuff
Oh,
like
yes.
that. And you were on the opposite side of that one.
Yes.
And you had to opine what the husband's business was worth, though the business was him, his girlfriend, who was working as a secretary, a couple computers in his basement and a desk, yet they were making
Bank.
millions of dollars, and you had to opine on that. And you were shooting on the low end of that one because you were the enemy in that case. But in the
I was giving my opinion
Right.
of value.
But on the Jose's
you were
Food
the enemy.
Mart, you were saying it was worth so much money because you were on the other side of the case. So this is what you do, right?
It is.
Let's talk about that because I think it's fascinating. How, and I did not, Alexa, do you know how you'll see something every day and you'll think, well, I know this and I understand it, but then a day will pass, it could be legal or anything else, and then a day will pass and something in your brain will crystallize and you'll be like, I thought I understood this, but now I really understand it. I didn't understand it at all before, but I thought I did, but now I get it, okay?
Steve, she's married.
Sure.
She's married to me. I'll say some things
Oh,
where
yeah,
she's
no,
like,
that's
"I
true.
thought I understood him, and now he's an idiot."
Well,
Well, I deal with the two of y'all on a daily basis.
Well,
so
Sherri is
here
an
we are.
example. In the Jose's Food Mart case, I thought I understood business valuations, but then I call Sherri and I'm like, Sherri, talk to me like I'm 3 years old.
Tell it
She's
to
like-
tell it to me like a 5.
And she's like, Steve, I do that anyway. And I was like,
and this is why Steve is Michael Scott.
well, I said,
watch
do
The
it
Office, right?
anyway.
Don't watch
Oh,
Do
don't
it.
Sherri,
TV.
get on it, man.
So I said, Sherri, do it anyway. So explain to me what you're going to say in court to Judge Walker about Jose's Food Mart. Teach me how this works. And I'm going to paraphrase. I'm going to tell you if I get it right. This is almost layman because I'm just like 3 seconds from a layperson. The way you value businesses is, number one, you either take everything out of that business, put it on the street like yard sale prices and say, what would it total? Or number two, there's an index somewhere of similarly sold businesses, and you compare this business to businesses there, and you come up with a swag, a silly wild ass guess. Or number three, you analyze the flow of gross receipts and profits and future earnings over a reasonably limited future amount of time and estimate a present dollar value. Is that generally the three ways?
Well, I think what you're trying to say is there's an income approach, an asset approach, and a market approach.
Well, I
So
try.
the market's the garage sale, though, right?
No, I know.
No?
I think he was saying the assets, the garage
Okay,
sale.
okay,
what
sure,
the stuff
yeah,
is
got
worth.
it,
Right, but I don't
yeah,
want it to
there we
be
go.
too boring to people. So, I might have dumbed it down a little bit, but if you want to smarten it up, go ahead.
So there are three approaches.
Three.
As business valuators, we're tasked with considering all three approaches. We don't have to rely on all three approaches. So the first one's the asset approach, which is your yard sale scenario. How I would say describe it is that it's what's all the stuff worth, right? It's typically a floor in a business that's operating. But if you have a holding company, right, that holds machinery and equipment or it owns real estate, you might rely on the asset approach. So it's what the stuff's worth. The market approach, I think, was your wild-ass guess.
Yes.
Okay. So the market approach is similar, like if you were to get a real estate appraisal, and they are going to go look at the neighborhood, and they're going to see all the other homes, all the four-bedroom homes, the comps in this area that have sold. And so that would be great if we had a database that had every business that had sold, which is what you have when you have a home. You don't have that with businesses. We have databases, but there are no requirements that somebody report the sale of their business to this database.
Like home sales.
Like home sales, which have to be sold. You have to report it to the IRS, but the IRS is not putting the information into a database. And so there's limitations to the market approach. Have businesses like this been sold? If they've been sold, have they been reported? Who reported them? How clean were they about the reporting? But if you get a database like dental practices, there'll be 100 transactions. So you have a pretty good data set to look at. The most common approach is typically, or people will disagree with me, but I like the income approach. And the income approach is, what's the cash flow you're getting?
That's right. And that's what you did in the Jose's Food Mart case.
Right, because it's all about cash flow ultimately.
Right.
If I'm going to put money in, if I'm going to put $100,000 in something, I want it to pay me money, a return on my investment. So I want appreciation and I want cash flow. That's the income approach.
Okay. Now, under the law, the wife who didn't even work at Jose's Food Mart in this hypothetical example, she could walk into court, get on the witness stand, and say, "Judge, I think his business interest is this much money, and I should get half." Under the law, she can do that, and the judge can consider that. Now, the judge is sitting up there going, I see these attorneys are coming in with boxes and boxes of financial data, and all I am is an attorney who became a judge, so I don't do math any gooder than they did, and I have no idea what's about to happen. So a judge is really looking for any port in the storm in a case like this, and that's you, right?
I try to be.
Yeah, you and the other forensic
typically
accountant.
there's another
right.
person, and we may not agree. If we agreed, we're probably not in court.
Then you're probably stipulating at that point, and then you're just arguing.
But so judges are really thankful when you show up so that somebody with credentials who's not the lawyer can say, I think that the business interest is, $5 million. And then the other accountant says, no, it's $4 million. And then the judge takes those both and then comes up with a fair answer, right?
Comes up with an answer.
They come up with an answer.
Yeah. Right.
I think, it's interesting. You can have two experts who are very far apart, and sometimes a judge will take the easy way and split the difference. I've had a judge, I went to court, the other expert and I were millions of dollars apart, but it was based on 4 very specific reasons. So I outlined for the judge. I'm like, if you agree with me on this point, or you don't agree with me on this point, this is the change to value, so that they could reconcile what each decision point was dollar-wise. Right. And that judge went through each decision point and agreed with me, which I was happy about, and then split the difference.
Anyway.
So sometimes it's, I call it field goals, right? Like sometimes they have these field goals, and they may take the easy way and say, I'm just going to split the difference. They may say, well, I agree with this person. I'm still going to split the difference because that's the number I need to accomplish the equitable division I want to accomplish.
Yeah, here's what I think's fair.
And sometimes they will pick an expert and say, I agree with that expert.
Yeah.
Now, you've done, I think you said 200 times now you've testified in court. Do you have any idea how many of those have been jury trials?
I want to say, I think I'm probably up to about 20.
20. So it's still the minority of cases. So 10% for you. Yeah.
Like y'all, I listened to your last one. Spoiler alert.
Thanks.
And most people don't want to fund a jury trial, and so most cases aren't going to be a jury trial.
Right. Do you find it remarkably different when you're testifying in front of a jury than just a judge?
I do.
Well, how's that?
So one, I have to figure out how to explain complicated financial issues to people who aren't typically exposed to those issues.
Right.
Well, hang on.
Yeah, Jimmy.
You just explained income market approach, deciphering what Steve called a garage sale. So that can't be that hard.
Right.
Well, I think that's why I'm good at a jury trial, because I can figure out how to do that.
Well, let me ask you this. Everybody who knows me knows that I will go to demonstratives and visual aids as quickly as I can. I think that juries and even judges like it. And in fact, you and I had a case one time where I did the construction company case where you came to court, where I dumbed everything down to a bunch of visual icons on a one-page PowerPoint, because we were taking it to Judge Earl Glanville, who's a good friend of mine, and I worked with him in the Army, and even he will tell you, I am not the A student in the room, so I'm like, I'm going to make it simple stupid. So you know that I do that. So do you? So that's what you're saying, is you have to find a way to make everybody understand.
Yeah, so on two parts, right? Because a business is a story, and the value of a business is based on what you expect to happen in the future. And then we have, some complicated topics and, valuation of personal goodwill and what can be sold, and then explaining that in, a few hours to 12 people who maybe never heard of this concept. So I spend a lot of time figuring out the story, right? So what's something that they would have been exposed to that I can use to explain this business and explain how valuation works. So, for instance, the market approach and a real estate appraisal, because most of them have heard about a real estate appraisal. So it does take a lot more time if I'm going in front of a judge. Judge Benton, right? I've worked with her before she was a judge.
Alice Benton, Fulton County? Yeah.
Yes. So I worked with her when she was practicing. I've been in front of her as a judge. I know she's going to already have a base and know a lot about what I'm talking about. I just have to get to the facts. Right. If it's a jury, I have to start from, accounting 101, business valuation 101, and walk them through it and then explain this specific business. So it just takes a lot more prep, and I'll spend time figuring out what's the best way to explain this. How can I explain how this particular business operates? What drives this business that they can relate to?
Okay. Oh, I have a question. So what makes, because you and I have certainly had the case where the business there were several businesses, there was a boatload of accounts and things like that. What makes business valuations the most difficult?
Because it's not an exact science, right? Like if I want to know the balance of a bank account, I can get a statement and there's that balance. The value of a business is an opinion, and I have to base that opinion on facts and information, but ultimately it's my opinion. And so you can have two very good business valuation people who have differences of opinion on the value, and they just need to substantiate it. Sometimes we have business valuation people who make errors that we bring up in court.
Yeah.
But, you can have differences of opinion. And so what are you basing your opinion on? And you are somewhat trying to have a crystal ball, right?
Sure.
Like, what is going to happen to this business in the future? Because nobody cares what it did 5 years ago.
Right.
Right? Like, I always use the example of, like, telephone companies and landlines, right? Like, that's gone, right?
Yeah, 20 years ago,
if I'm looking
not
at a
so much.
telephone company, like, what's it going to do in the future? Because it's innovative. So it's an opinion. What are you basing that opinion on? You start with the facts and the financials to get what it's been doing, but then you have to figure out what you think it's going to do going forward.
And how much more difficult does it get when the financials are all over the place with
Well-
commingling and things like that? Because obviously that's probably something you've.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first step, right? Is first you have to have good financial data. So, we're going through the financials, and I'm, looking. I had a client who was convinced that his Lamborghini was a valid expense for his firm because when he would go out to dinner, he would let people sit in it. So, of course, then they were going to hire him because he let their kids sit in his Lamborghini at, the Chili's.
Solid marketing choice.
Was he a personal injury attorney?
No. Closing attorney.
Okay.
Close enough.
And so I have to go through and find those expenses, and people try to hide those expenses, and they come up with justifications on, why they needed a $5,000 dinner somewhere. Oh, well, I saw this person, or I take clients to the Braves games. And so, we have kind of those discretionary expenses, and then we just have the, flat out, you went
Hookers
to the
and
strip
whores.
club.
Yeah, hookers and
That's
whores.
not a business expense, you know.
So listening to this and Alexa's questions prompted me to ask you a couple more questions, which I wrote down.
Okay.
You deal with attorneys. You don't just magically appear. An attorney like me or Alexa calls you and says, hey, I'm going to need you in this case. And then you ask who's on the other side, and as the attorney and as the accountant. And you probably know most of these people already. So when you're preparing a case, your testimony, do you run into attorneys, and I'm not asking you to give any names, unless it's me, then I don't care. Do you run into attorneys that are very humble and say, explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, I want to understand this? Or do you run into attorneys that are just arrogant as hell? And is that ever a challenge for you?
So, yeah, both. You know, I think, you know, we're in the people business, right? I mean, we provide services, but we're in the people business. And so, you know, I think you have to be pretty good at dealing with the full realm of people.
Right. So do you enjoy working with me more or Alexa?
I love you both. And you have to be diplomatic.
right.
But no, I think,
But
you
it's
know,
Alexa.
everybody has different personalities. But I also think attorneys tend to use experts who match their personality, that they're going to make a good team. So I think, you know, there are different types of experts. There are different types of attorneys. I work with a lot of different attorneys, and they're not all the same. But I like to think I work with the best attorneys, and that they really just want to do a good job. You know, they're fierce advocates for their clients, but I think they realize that my job is to be an expert and not an advocate
Right.
when it comes time to take the stand.
Okay.
And so that's
All right,
why
so
they
let me
hire
ask you this before you take the stand. This is very important to me. Is it important for the attorney that you're working with to call you and go, okay, the other accountant is going to say this. How are the two of you different, and why are they incorrect? Give me the questions I should ask you and the answers you're going to give me to explain that. Do attorneys do that with you?
Absolutely.
It's vital, in my opinion.
It is. So sometimes they ask me to draft my direct and draft the cross.
Makes
That's
sense.
important because in the 14 times I've testified as an expert, which again makes me a neophyte compared to you, I tell the attorneys that hire me, here's the foundational questions you need to ask to tender me as an expert. Here's my resume. You probably have a CV. And here's the
Steve
questions.
hasn't graduated to that yet.
Not yet. Here's the sorry. Here's the questions on the merits that I want you to ask me, and after every question, here's the answer I'm going to give you. I do it so the attorney doesn't even have to worry about it, except they have to read what I give them. And then half the time, like I testified as an expert for Katie Cannell. You know Katie, like about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And Judge Ann Harris up in Cobb just started asking me questions. So we went completely off script. So poor Katie's just standing there as Ann Harris and I are going back and forth, and hours of preparation aren't gone, but they just kind of just fell apart because they weren't necessary because the judge is like, you got my attention, just talk to me, Steve.
Well, and they do that all the time, even with
Right.
with clients
But I
and
love
other
that.
witnesses. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us.
Participation from a judge. So
Yeah.
what I will tell you, I have now learned, because if I just write all the questions, they're in my voice and not the attorney's voice. And the attorney may not understand the question. So what I try to do is say, give me your first draft, and then let me edit that and give you my responses, and then let's go over it. Because, you know,
Yeah.
I think we had this issue in one of our cases. There's a term called EBITDA. And EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. But somebody gets up there and mispronounces it and doesn't know what they mean, and then they try to ask the question using that term.
Did I do that?
Maybe it was Kim.
Someone did.
It was Kim Demecki. That's right. Who was co-counsel on that case. Yeah.
But anyway, so I do now tell the attorneys, I'm like, please make the first draft. I will edit your questions. I will fill in my responses, and then let's talk about it.
I'll
And
tell
this-
you how to pronounce things.
Yeah. Now, for the opposing expert, I may make the first draft, but then we've got to go through it.
Right.
So that they understand. Because if you ask me a question and you don't understand the question you asked me, I can dance around you. Like, I can, you don't know if I'm answering it or not because you don't know what you asked.
Right.
So I think it's key.
Yeah,
Do you ever run into attorneys who you're trying to prepare them and they're not paying enough attention? Because I know if you called me and you said, Steve, trial's coming up in a couple of days, I don't have a warm and fuzzy that you're prepared to question me. Do you ever have to do that with attorneys?
Not usually. And like I said, I think I work with really
Good attorneys.
Who are going to make sure they're prepared and put in the time before court.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, everybody gets busy, so sometimes I do jump up and down and say, I need some time before we go here so that we can be ready.
I just want to tell you this. This is an incredibly dry topic.
Yeah.
But you've made it interesting and fun, which is really your challenge in court, is making it, engaging in court. And I've enjoyed this so much. Now, last thing, you're originally from Cobb County?
I am.
From Mableton?
Mableton.
That's the redneck section of Cobb, right?
Oh,
No, that's Ackworth. Ackworth.
No.
Okay.
No. Ackworth is nice. I would say nicer than South Cobb.
yeah.
So I always joke I'm like the Jeffersons. I moved on up because I went from South Cobb
To East Cobb.
Yeah.
I was only in West Cobb. You moved way up.
Yeah, I've arrived.
First of all, your reference to the Jeffersons makes us both so old. All right. Other than that, I'm just going to say it's been such a pleasure to have you as the first human being who was our guest speaker. And no, honestly,
Can we just point out real quick how weird Steve says human?
I know.
Okay.
And I'm just
human.
I'm just going to tell you, I have actually been in a potential client meeting, and I know they're going to sign up with me, and I've said, hold on a second. I have walked out to my office, picked up my cell phone, punched in your cell phone number, and said, blah, 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 blah. We're going to hire you, and I want to get there before the other side gets
run
you.
a quick conflict check.
And I mean, there are very few people I've done that with. I do that with Patricia Apey up in New Jersey on international custody cases. I do that with you on forensic accounting. So that's my highest compliment to you, that I will stop mid-sentence and go call you to make sure the other side doesn't get you. So thank you for being here so much. This is Shewmaker and Lewis and Lawyers Without Billboards. Peace out.
That's it for this episode of Lawyers Without Billboards. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more resources or to get in touch with us, visit shewmakerandlewis.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.